Hello, welcome to our show. This is a movie review show. Tonight we're going to be talking about Night of the Living Dead. And basically what sets us apart from all the other shows, I know there's a million podcasts out there where people review movies, but what sets us apart is that we're just three guys giving our honest opinions, and we're not corporate, you know? Like, we don't have any sponsorships. This is our words coming out of our mouths, unfiltered. It's going to be great.
But I feel like with the side note with that I should say, if anyone wants to make us corporate or sponsor us, we won't say no.
Yeah, we will be accepting donations.
Call our legal team.
Yeah. Heather Hoy's personal cell phone is on screen right now, so call that and make your donations day or night. So, theme song. Welcome back. So as I said in the intro, tonight we're going to be talking about Night of the Living Dead. It was released in 1968. It's George Romero's feature debut. It stars a cast of unknowns, and really no one went on to be in anything after this, despite the fact that the film's so iconic. We have a clip. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll get into the show.
Clip!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny. Oh! No! No! Johnny! Help
Welcome back. Let's start out by going around and introducing ourselves. We'll start with Matt McCormick here. What are your credentials? Why are you telling people about movies? And specifically, what's your zombie cred? What zombie media have you took? Specifically, Romero, what was your introduction to Romero? Is this your first time seeing the film?
I don't think that my specific introduction to Romero is appropriate for television. We'll just say that it took place in a theater. As far as zombie credentials, I don't know, like, I've been inundated just as much as everyone else with The Walking Dead and Daryl Dixon and all the other zombie movies. The Zack Snyder Mall one, that's a good one. James Gunn wrote that movie. Not a lot of people know that. But, yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, that's my zombie cred. I've seen everything you've seen.
You used the word inundated, and that's interesting because I do feel that the zombie market, especially in recent years, has become oversaturated.
Out of nowhere, seemingly.
Well, it didn't. I mean, it was The Walking Dead. Let's not, not point fingers, because it was. After that happened, that's when it all was like, oh my God. Because what did you have up before that? You had 28 weeks later and 28 days later. That's it.
And this is Horatio Ziglimbia. What do you do, Horatio?
Well, I do work for corporate, unfortunately. Sorry, viewers. I work at Oakland University in the Video Services Department. I'm the content coordinator. Basically, try to come up with TV shows such as this one, and to put on OUTV and air to the viewing audience. As for my zombie cred, I've watched a lot of zombie movies. I couldn't name them off. I've seen Walking Dead from the beginning until now. This was my first time seeing George A. Romero's debut, and it was quite eye-opening, I'll say. But just like Matt said, I've partook of the zombie genre for the past 10 years now or something.
Me personally, I wasn't big on zombie movies as a kid. I grew up on the Universal horror pictures, so I don't really have any nostalgia for this. But I was able to kind of get back in the minds. Well, my first question is, does this film hold up? Why is it considered a classic? Has it stood the test of time for you guys? Let's start with Horatio. First time seeing the film.
Well, I will say the first time seeing the film, I was mightily shocked because no, it doesn't stand up. This is the first time that I've ever seen it, and it was quite eye-opening because it really seemed to imbue the qualities of old Hollywood that I don't like. So, from the very beginning of the first scene is actually really good when it's the people, the brother and sister, Barbara, and I actually forgot the brother's name. They're driving in the car, and they get to the cemetery and they're just, bantering back and forth. Believable. Everything after that, overacted and extremely unbelievable. It got better as the movie progressed, but I will say that I was not a big fan of the overactedness of this film.
McCormick, response.
It felt like a bunch of friends got together and made a movie and then put it together and then released it. And since it was different, it caught on and became this cultural icon. But no, it does not hold up at all.
Really?
Relatively close. I think the only thing that stood out to me that I enjoyed was when they had the zombies were all sticking their hands through the window and someone attacked a hand with a block of wood and the hand got all messed up and I was like, okay, that's cool.
The makeup effects are impressive, and this was before Tom Savini came on. So I think a lot of the effects, I heard George Romero, for that corpse in the beginning in the hallway, he actually made that himself with ping pong balls and stuff. And I think the eating scenes, when they're eating Tom and Judy, I thought that was actually grotesque.
It was.
That was are there any actual scary moments?
Absolutely not. None. And if they were actually, if there was a moment that could have been actually scary, I think it was the sound design and the acting and the not even acting dialogue, but just acting a person by themselves was very. It took away from the scariness.
Sound design, I will say the only part I jumped at was the animal heads in the house.
Yes.
But do you guys find that you have a hard time placing yourself in the mindset, because I feel like you kind of need to understand the historical context and how groundbreaking this film was, because this really lays the foundation for everything that the zombie genre would become. You have all the iconography. You got people hold up different conflicting personalities in a small space, boarding up the house, throwing Molotov cocktails. It's been copied so many times. I feel like the impact is obviously it's going to be a lot less, but I don't know. Should all films be held to the standard of modern film, or?
You're absolutely right, and it shouldn't. It's just the curse of living in the modern world now. You have, especially now in the modern world where we're being inundated with all these movies. I mean, you go watch The Walking Dead and, obviously you're blown away by the effects, but this is, 2016, and that was 1968, so you really can't hold it up to the same standards. Filmmaking was different back then. Filmmaking was kind of just having a genesis of let's keep pushing the boundary and see what we can do, and without films like that, I will say that we wouldn't have what we have today.
But we have what we have today, and what we have today is better.
Fair.
I don't know. All of the tropes were there, and in that aspect of it being culturally significant, it's definitely culturally significant. But in the other side of that coin, you have to ask yourself, how culturally significant is the zombie? When you're talking about horror film, especially horror film. Horror film, not a Lady of the Night film, spooky horror. you deal a lot with character tropes and a lot with kind of monster tropes. And I feel like the zombie thing, it's a lot like the virus thing. It's this uncontainable, it's gonna kill everybody type deal. And it's just kind of boring at this point.
It's interesting you bring up the viral aspect because it's not a virus in this movie, and it's like it's interesting that it's like a document of the time how in this movie the cause of the zombie apocalypse is radiation from a probe from Venus or something, whatever they said, and it reflects the cultural fears of an age.
Absolutely. It's right in the middle of the Cold War and right in the middle of the fear of nuclear war. So, what did people most scared of? Nuclear power. They saw what happened in World War II. And it is funny how the way that that has come into play. And then, like you said, nowadays, zombies are what? Viruses.
Well, I mean, I wasn't talking necessarily about the thing of the virus. I was talking like you have your virus movies, you have your Contagions, you have your... what's another quarantines, you have all those, so it's the same kind of concept of you have this group of people barricading themselves in to not be,
to get infected,
more or less.
And speaking of historical context, I think we got to talk about the fact that it's a black lead in 1968.
Absolutely. I was shocked. I was actually shocked. I thought he would be a secondary character, and I thought I saw him take the lead, and I was like, dang, progressive, George A. Romero.
Didn't die first.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what it was. I was so surprised. I was like, well, he's gone immediately, but he survived.
Until the end. That's a very provocative image at the end of a white redneck hunter shooting a black man, innocent black man. But yeah, I thought he was, you said the acting was, I will agree, most of the actors are completely terrible, but I thought that Ben was a great character.
Absolutely.
Because he was really badass, and he was like morally ambiguous. Like he slaps Barbara in the face. He shoots.
He doesn't slap Barbara in the face. He freaking punches her in the face. She has a bruise on her face the whole rest of the movie.
And he shoots Mr. Cooper, which in most movies like you got those two characters and like but he always takes the high road, and he just did what needed to be done to survive. And yeah, and then when the zombie girl comes back from the dead, he just throws her. Like that's like, I mean, she's a zombie, so she's not really a person, but it's a striking image. Again.
It was good to see, I will say, it was good to see that some people had brains, because that's my biggest complaint about zombie movies, that the brains of people, they just don't even think. Things happen in zombie movies or shows that wouldn't happen in real life, and you're like, what? So it was good to see that most of it was realistic in that aspect. They were actually,
It is almost like a procedural film.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of boring now, but like, just like seeing like them boarding up the house, and then like the debate kind of goes on too long about should we go in the cellar or should we stay up here. That's when the film kind of drags. But I agree, the ending and the beginning are the strongest parts.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the coolest parts was, so one of my favorite movies, and one of my favorite directors, Edgar Wright, but it was Shaun of the Dead. And the line where Shaun and, oh gosh, I can't even remember his name. Shaun and his buddy are going to pick up his mom.
We're coming to get you, Barbara.
Barbara.
Listen, Mum, sit tight, okay? You're not safe there. We're coming over.
I don't want to cause a fuss.
We're coming to get you, Barbara!
And I had no idea. I was watching it, and I was like, I say that to my girlfriend all the time. And I'm like,
her name's not even Barbara.
No, I know, but I say it to her just as a joke, because from that movie, I know. And I saw it at the beginning, they're coming to get you, Barbara. And I was like, that's an Easter egg in itself, That's an homage Shaun of the Dead threw back to Night of the Living Dead, which is kind of, you would expect it, but it's kind of cool to see the throwback. And
that is an iconic line. But let's talk about Barbara for a second.
Sure.
Let's talk about what I want to ask you guys is the film sexist? Because you look at every female character.
No.
Barbara's catatonic. Judy, she catches her sleeve on the door of the car and gets her boyfriend killed. And you got the nagging wife. Like.
No. That's important, isn't it?
What?
To be right, everybody else to be wrong.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's okay. It's sexist.
Hold on, Matt, could you elaborate?
You can't judge something from 50 years ago with modern views.
Exactly. If that was made today, yes, that movie would be extremely sexist. But the views in 1968 were of, you know, the woman was in the home, homemaker, weak, can't, you know, do anything strong or whatever. Obviously, we know that's not true. We know that's not true, and I don't agree with it. But anyway, so like that's the views back then.
I guess it's just more disappointing because the film's so progressive on issues of race, like you were talking about.
True.
You think?
But if it broke the
mean-
mold on everything, I think people would riot.
Yeah. But also, is it that progressive on the issue of race? Like, yeah, it has a black lead, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But it was progressive for 1968 Hollywood.
Just to set some context, the top movies of that year were 2001, Rosemary's Baby, Planet of the Apes.
Space Odyssey, Rosemary's, so it's all movies about white people, but there was still heavy black cinema. Black people were still in Hollywood features. Black people still had prominent roles in Hollywood features. I'm pretty sure a black person has won the Academy Award, or at least been nominated by that time.
I'm not sure. Do we have those stats?
Do we have that stats?
I think
what we're
blacks-
going to do is we're going to take a quick break right here, an edit break, which means no commercial, and we'll be right back with the answer. All right, and our research has shown us that Hattie McDaniel had won the Oscar Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role as Mammy in the 1939 classic Gone with the Wind. So that's a full 29 years before that, and yeah. So I don't think it was that.
I just think with the context of what's going on in America at that time, 1968, you're in the midst of the civil rights movement, and you have a black lead actor who's hitting a white woman, who's shooting a white man, and basically killing all, you know, two other white people, and they're zombies. But that would, in 1968, that would incense a whole number of white people. So I think that's what is progressive about it.
Well, I feel like the violence of the movie for 1968 would be more offensive to people than the black man.
Correct, but that the violence is being meted out by the black man.
I don't know. I
agree.
I think that the modern view of race is clouding way too much of everything.
And you could say that the black character is punished in the end by getting killed, but I don't think there's not really. It's like the music is really ominous during that part. It's very strange, and it's all like still photos, like it's shot like a documentary. That's another thing. Is what do you guys think of technically how this film was shot? Like the cinematography. I think the black and white and the aspect ratio, that was all like a budgetary thing, but I think it looks really good with all the shadows. Like it's very.
It does
stylistic.
look. Yes, it does. It is a cool looking set. It's a cool look. It's very cool looking. I don't know. I had a problem with some of the cinematography. A lot of the times I thought it was out of focus on when the focus of the shot was a certain part of the shot.
Well,
and it was,
you have to remember that they weren't able to watch playback live like you are.
Absolutely. Yes,
You're
right.
fancy.
With my fancy digital cameras and cell phones. Yeah. No, I understand. I get that. I'm just. I think you're right. For the time, it looked great.
The zombies here weren't bloody enough for me, and I feel like that was the biggest draw, was they didn't look dead enough.
Well, see that is, I think,
I found myself throughout the film getting lost with characters and zombies, just who's who in it, just because one, the quality's kind of
21st century standards. They need to be bloody.
gotta be
violent.
bloody, gotta be violent. I need some sort of flesh hanging off of them,
Society has failed
some
this
muscle
one.
tone.
Society has failed him.
You know,
You also have to remember it seemed to be the beginning of the outbreak.
true.
And people weren't necessarily dying, and those zombies weren't necessarily dying and getting eaten right away.
I still feel. Well, wait, hold on. They weren't eating everybody, because I remember one child specifically carrying out a very gruesome act of murder.
That was strange.
they're never called zombies in this movie. They're called ghouls, and they like there's like a kind of a different rules for these zombies. Like some of them can move fast, some move slow. Like
they
the one in
use
the beginning.
tools.
Yeah, they can use tools.
It was very. I don't see on that standpoint. I know it's the godfather and the grandfather or whatever you want to call it of zombie movies, but I don't like zombie movies that try to do that or zombie shows that try to do that. I think that's. I mean, I know we're talking about zombies. Okay, I get it. They're fictitious. They're dead things that are living and they don't exist. So I understand that for
They
people
never
watching.
will either.
I get it. But scientifically, I wish we could just get more things scientifically correct with current zombie movies. That one, maybe that's like a, using tools that's a remnant of their brain, possibly, but they're dead. How are they picking up rocks and smashing car windows and stuff? How are they able to open car doors or try to open car doors like the first zombie that Barbara encounters?
Because they're ghouls.
Well, sure.
Well, one other thing I wanted to hit on was just talking about the film's ending. I really liked the way the newscasts were shot. I thought that was pretty realistic, and I thought that was not overacted.
No, that one felt real. You're right. The one thing that drove me batty though about the newscasts was the cameraman was absolutely abysmal. Where they were interviewing the sheriff, and they just kept the shot on the reporter while the sheriff is talking for like 2 minutes. I was like, man, standards were low back then. I will say, I get that it's the first one, so that Night of the Living Dead by George A. Romero is the first zombie movie ever. Sometimes the first isn't the gold standard that we should hold up.
Well,
Because that's, ironing out the kinks with the first one. Yep. And then your second and third one, look at Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Not to change genres, but Batman Begins was okay.
or this movie show.
Or this movie show, yes. I'm sure the second one will be far better than this.
I feel like it's kind of plays into the whole Star Wars thing too. Like you had your New Hope, and then you had your Empire, and then 30 years later they're just gonna reboot A New Hope. So,
Absolutely. And A New Hope isn't as good as Empire or Jedi.
boom.
So what are you guys gonna give this out of 5 whatevers?
I'm gonna give this 2 flaming pickup trucks
Any explanation?
when they light the pickup truck on fire.
I didn't mean about your ratings. I meant about your actual rating. Not that you picked flaming pickup trucks. Why did you give it 2 flaming pickup trucks?
I didn't like the movie. I gave them 2 for effort.
Got it.
And Horatio, my friend?
Your friend. I will give it 3 Barbaras. On the basis that it is a cult classic. It started a revolution, if you will. And it is the grandfather. It gains one Barbara, but other than that, it would have been 2 for me too, because I did not really enjoy the film. But zombies are cool. I don't know.
And I myself will give it 3.5 naked zombies.
Of course, 3.5. And you go naked zombies.
Well, clearly you two are Philistines who have no appreciation for all you like is contemporary
Philistines.
schlock. So
Schlock.
we're gonna throw it a break, but don't go away because when we come back, we're gonna do the mail fern. It's gonna be a great time.
Schlock.
Commercial.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Mail fern. Mail fern. I'm gonna pull this letter out of the fern. All right, do you want to open it or should I open it?
So what is this? Why do we have a male fern?
Because you need a male fern. Don't you have a male fern at house? Is your house?
No, I have a mailman.
God, it's because you're Romanian. Hey, gang! What's a better, slow zombie or fast zombie? Your loyal viewer, Jordy. Well, thanks, Jordy,
Jordy.
for being our loyal viewer on our first episode.
Yeah, yeah, thank God you're paying attention.
You can put that in our arc. Wow.
Jordy, we don't agree with that. We're not with that. Matt and I.
To answer your question, when it comes between fast zombies and slow zombies, I'm gonna say that they both have their place. You get your slow zombies for getting your trapped in your houses situations, and you build up tension that way. Get your fast zombies if you want some good chase scenes. You need a car, and you can get some people running behind. I feel that they both have a place in the world of zombies because, let's be real, they aren't real anyways.
I think that fast zombies have their place in video games, and they should stay there. And I think slow zombies are the best. They should be reserved for the highest art form, film, because that's like what's scary about them. Is
Highest art.
Wait, hold on. How when most films look like video games nowadays, you can't sit there and
Not nowadays. Before they looked like video games when the CGI was.
I would argue most zombie media is crap.
I'll agree with you there.
Okay. So we'll come back to that, the crap line, okay? We'll talk about crap later. I think fast zombies have no place, literally anywhere. They don't exist. They couldn't exist. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. If you guys really think that fast zombies make sense, fast zombies, like I said, traditional fast zombies, dead things that are walking around, that doesn't exist.
They explain it in 28 Days Later. It's an adrenaline boost.
What did we just talk about before the mail, Fern? 28 Days Later is not a zombie film. No, it's not. Stop.
You ask the layman. No one's going to differentiate. Only nerds differentiate between
No.
infected and
Horror fans will call 28 days / weeks / whatever sequel they come out with next a zombie movie.
Yes, people will call it a zombie movie, but I'm sorry, I have to, whether you call me a nerd or whatever you want to call me.
Go read Game of Thrones.
It is not a zombie film. And zombies are slow. Zombies are slow in the traditional sense because they've lost everything but their motor functions. And their higher motor functions are gone. They should not be able to sprint through a mall. They should not be able to sprint down the street. The only reason that fast zombies exist is to make plot points happen. And yes, the like you said, there's way too much zombie crap. But I will tell you what, they're my third favorite movie creature thing. Classic movie creature. Zombies are my third favorite.
What are your first two?
Werewolf, vampire.
Werewolf, vampire, zombies. That's pretty good.
I'm from Transylvania, so
I'd swap vampires and zombies on that.
See,
Godzilla, #1. King of monsters.
You'd swap vampires?
Werewolves, zombies, vampires.
Really?
Well, I'm looking at the clock on the wall, and we're just about out of time here today. So
I didn't get to tell you my Emily Kinney story.
I don't see a clock.
the next week we're reviewing Forrest Gump, and Horatio's going to do the cinnamon challenge. So you don't want to miss that. Once again, this is the Take. This is the No Spin Zone, where we give our opinions, unadulterated, not corporate. Guys, is there any closing remarks you want to make?
I apologize to Bill O'Reilly and Fox News Network for that blatant copyright violation. And other than that, see you guys next week.
I got nothing.
Bye.
Now just wave, because this is where the credits are going to go.